and welcome back to The Creatives, everybody. Welcome to episode 16. I'll be your host today, Ramsey, joined by Izzy P, who is a brand creator and founder of the Ottawa Design Club. Izzy has worked with some cool brands such as Adobe, the Government of Canada, and University of Ottawa. So very excited to get to know some of your work, and it includes this really cool book that's on our table that says collaboration is a superpower on the back. So we'll get into all of this in a bit. But thank you for tuning in. The Creatives Podcast is a passion project where we explore creativity through conversation. And we're on episode 16. And I didn't, not that I didn't think we'd make it here, but it's just crazy how far it's come. It's just like snowballed into this thing. And we're trying a new set today. So if you're watching on video, we're doing a little bit of a tabletop conversation here at Midnight Hour Studios, who are also our sponsor for the show. Midnight Hour Studios is giving you, the listener, 20% off. Maybe it's 25. Correct me it'll be in the description. They're giving you a nice discount on your first booking at this studio. So thank you for tuning in. You can listen on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Instagram. And all of that, again, is in the description. So without further ado, Izzy, welcome to The Creatives.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
It's, I first met you at a workshop that you hosted at Studio 2020, which was called On-Set Mindset. Mm-hmm. It was a cool workshop. I made some friends at that workshop. I learned some stuff. And that was the first time. And then, you know, as you do more things, you start realizing the community is very small. And we were connected by Jen, who owns the studio. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you mentioned, you know, Jen too.
Yes, actually I met Jen, I think 4 years ago, and it was recommended by another creative. Her name is Clary. She's no longer in Ottawa, but she's like, you have to do your headshots with Jen. Like, she's amazing. And then I did, and that was back when she was in her apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you knew Jen from the early days. That's cool.
From the OG.
The OG Jen.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hi, Jen, if you're listening or watching. So Izzy, I'll tell you about the Creatives. So it's basically, I wanted to just explore people and creative processes. I was starting to meet lots of people along my journey and realizing that outside of the bubble, no one really knows who these people are, and doing cool stuff like this. And it's just, I was like, okay, let's see if we can fill this gap. So started a podcast, started by just interviewing people that I knew. And it eventually snowballed into using the studio space and then being a sponsor of the show. And now we're 16 episodes in, and we're here today chatting about creativity. So I look forward to learning about your story and, you know, kind of what you do as a brand creator and your company IP design, and also Ottawa Design Club.
Yes.
And this really, really cool zine, you call it.
Yes.
That's cool. Is that short for magazine?
So a zine is like when it's self-published and there's no advertising. Okay. And it's also when you want to be political about something. Like back then it was political, but here we're just about creativity.
That's really cool. And can people get this?
Oh yeah. It's
available?
available on our website. We have a shop. We also do a lot of craft markets. People can get it there at our events as well. There's like a cute swag table that you can get stuff. So all the zines are there. This is our fifth one.
Fifth one, okay. So they're limited, from what I understand.
Yes.
And then once they're done, they're done.
They're done. They're only printed. There's no online access to this. So we wanted to make it a precious thing that you would keep. That's cool. Close to you.
I like it. So we'll dive more into that in a bit. But before we kind of go into the work that you do, Izzy, I want to know about you as a person. Like, what is your origin story? Where did you start? How did you get here creating brands? And, you know, was it something that was relevant or evident in your childhood and it kind of materialized? Or just tell me a little bit about that.
I feel like branding just made its appearance in the last few years, if that makes sense. Like before, everyone called it advertising and marketing, but then like branding became something because it's very different than advertising and marketing. Yeah. So there was no way I could have known back then that this is what I was going to be doing today. But I always knew that I was creative and I was good with the pen and pencil, and you know, I like colors, and I like, you know, like kind of had this fantasy world going on. So visual arts, as for my studies, was never a question. Like that's what I wanted to do. So I moved to Ottawa. So I come from a very small town. It's called Saint-Isidore.
Where is that?
It's in between Montreal and Ottawa. It's still in Ontario, so I'm Franco-Ontarienne.
It's one of those like towns on the edge of Ontario that are fully French, but still like Hawkesbury kind of.
It's close to Hawkesbury.
Close to Hawkesbury?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. But it's like, if you go on the 417, it's like, oh, that's it. It's gone.
It's that quick.
It's that quick. There's like one street.
Wow.
I was so bored growing up. So that's why like my pens and coloring books like kept me company.
When did you leave? Like when did you come to Ottawa?
I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you come for school?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I got accepted to do a BFA, which is a bachelor's degree in fine arts with a specialization. Technically I have a specialization like on paper in painting, but I have the same amount of classes for photography.
Cool.
Which you would think like, how does that relate to branding? It does, because in this program we were taught to build art series and market ourselves, have a message within the artwork that we would do, which is the same principle as building a brand, except instead of doing it for you do it for a company.
That's cool.
So whenever I graduated, first of all, I did not know what to do because I had tailored my studies to be a teacher, as a lot of us do. I actually listened to Rémi's podcast last night, and I was like, wow, he went to teacher's college too. Like that was what I wanted to do too back then. It's crazy how like a lot of us defaulted into teaching. It's
because it was what was like, if society told you have to do, this is what you got to do, the box, and then go and do those things.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, so actually my mom is an art teacher, and she invited me to a field trip that she had in Ottawa with her class. And she's like, you know what, I don't really know about the contemporary section. You should come over and just like explain what you have learned in your 4 years. I was about to go into teacher's college. And I hated my day. I'm like, wow, I am not meant to be a teacher. What am I doing here? So I had this like epiphany, and thank God it happened at the right moment. So decided to take a few weeks to think about it. Then I enrolled into like a web design class part-time in Algonquin, then fell in love with design. But that's still design. It's not branding.
Yeah. Is it broad still design? Like what is it? Digital design or like?
Yeah.
Industrial?
I mean, you can design everything, right? You can design a fashion line. You can design like a logo. A logo is not a brand. People think that, but it's not. It's part of it. But it's not.
It's usually the first piece that you create.
It's a touch point.
It's a touch point. I like that. I like that you said you can design anything, because you can design a sentence in a way, right? You can design
an experience. You're designing an experience right now as we're talking with this set, with people watching at home, right? You're a designer in that sense.
That's cool. I like that.
Design has a very wide meaning. So does branding, actually. But all that to say, so if we go back to visual arts, right? When an artist builds an art show, it's to make people feel something, it's to create an impact, and it's to communicate something, hopefully, and they want the audience to remember it. Now tell me, is there something different from that to a business when they're trying to engage with their audience?
No, I mean, you're designing an experience.
That's it.
Whether it's the service experience of rendering a service, the communication, and then like the product that you actually give to the client. It's just different. It's spread out. It's not as concentrated as an art show would be. I'm thinking art show like in a studio where you have prints on the wall or paintings, right?
The principles are the same, essentially. So the good brands, if they can render an experience, I mean, it is a work of art. That's how everything connected to me. That's when I figured that out. That's where I'm like, okay, this is what I meant to do.
Designing brands.
Brands, and not just in the visual identity of it, not just in the design when we talked about logo, colors, fonts, but also in the strategy of it, the foundation. That's where the magic happens.
That's crazy. That is deep, because in a world where there's so many brands, like you're just engulfed with brands, and people are now individual branding themselves and using the digital tools that we have to then just like amplify whatever they're doing. And then, you know, you see people with like millions of followers and they are the brand. Their name is like Peter McKinnon comes to mind. That's his name. And he is his own brand and he has this whole thing, but it's cool. I like your outlook on brand because it is art. Like you're designing an art show, but it could be as simple as selling coffee mugs, right?
Yep.
That could be the brand.
Yep.
So then you gravitated towards that because it made sense. Like, is that like, did you have an experience that was like, where you had an opportunity to create a brand and then you're like, okay, I really like this?
Surprisingly, it was for the government. When I was working at the government, which I hated working at the government. Exited at the first time that I could. But there was this really cool project that I was invited to design and do the brand and a bit of brand strategy because I was working with the communications team. Yeah. It was called Canada Beyond 150. Okay. For all the policy analysts like listening, probably I won't get everything right. I don't think we have Sorry about that. Well, you never know though, because a lot of policy analysts are dreaming about this, like the life that we are living right now.
This is us calling them, pull them through the screen.
Come on here. Yes, listen to this podcast. Yes, so it was like in relation to Canada 150th anniversary, and it was an invitation for policy analysts to apply to do like a full year of training with our department to learn foresight. Now you're like, what? What is foresight? Probably it's for Policy Horizons, which was the department I was under. And I don't want to get too much into the details.
That's okay. The details are cool because it helps to understand.
Okay.
You know.
You can cut it in post if it's not
for
interesting.
For the people that may be in those employment situations, knowing that there is a potential avenue to break free through that kind of corporate mold and find your way. Like Absolutely. It's cool. So carry on. I like the story.
So that's it. So we had to find a way to attract, because it was meant for policy analysts that were in the government for 1 to 5 years. Okay. So it had to be fresh. It had to be explanatory. It had to, because it is a big time commitment that they were giving. It's a full year added on top of their regular job.
It wasn't a separate position?
No, it was like a full out training with some like traveling in Canada, and they had to do a lot, and it was separated under 7 different like categories. So big branding opportunity for me. I truly took it to heart and put everything that I knew, and like compared to now, I didn't know anything but back then about branding, but it did kind of sparkle some like light into me. I was like, okay, like this is what I want to do. And I was always freelancing on the side since I had graduating. Okay. So I was like, how can I bring this feeling that I just had at work into my freelance? And is there a way for me to do that full time? Because apart from this project, I was doing like, social media posts and like big reports, and it's not necessarily super fun. Yeah. You know something's there, but you don't exactly know how you're going to make it a possibility, right? Well, it's just like, it's repetitive and it's boring.
No, but in terms of like when you wanted to like branch out and transition towards that freelance, like you knew it was there, but you're like, you obviously need to live, you have expenses and you have financial goals, and you're like, okay, how do I turn this dream into a sustainable career? And I have that thought, like I'm going into 3 years now of full-time video production.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's still a looming like fear in my head where I'm like, can I sustain this? Is this sustainable long-term? And I maybe sometimes think I should just quit and go work for the government. Like, but
I'll do it.
in a way, it's like obviously when times are hard and it's hard to be like a self-directed business owner because no one's holding you accountable except yourself. Maybe your clients, but at the end of the day, if you don't do the work, it's no one's gonna write you up. It's like you're just gonna.
We can talk about that. Yeah. That feeling is called the dip.
The dip. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So there's 2 ways of looking at a dip. Okay. It's either, okay, it's time to quit because I have put everything in, and I'm not seeing possibilities, even though I have planted a lot of seeds, like nothing is growing, or I'm on the verge of something big.
I like the second option.
Of course. But we also need to be realistic, right?
Sure,
we need to be able to see the signs. Most of the time, people see the first friction as being the dip. That's not a real dip.
No.
The dip is when you decide to up your pricing, and then, it takes a little bit more time before you get that client. That's the dip. The fact that you have upped your pricing is a good thing, but your clientele needs to change. So, for them to adapt to your new pricing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're niching down. That's a dip. So it's like you need to see things through a different lens than just this is an obstacle and then I'm quitting. So when you find a dip, again, I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
No, it makes sense. I'm thinking like it's like don't see it as oh no, I'm done. Like
yes.
the dip is like it's because things can't always be going up.
Yes.
It's not possible and it's unrealistic. So I see that dip it's a good way of just being like, okay, just keep like assuming you've planted the right seeds and you're continuing to work and you're growing sustainably as an individual and as a business, then
that's it.
I don't see, the dip it's good to kind of identify that.
That's it.
Because that actually helps me to kind of wrap my head around stuff, and I can see where the brand creating expertise come from, because now you got me thinking about like my own brand as well.
Good.
And I'm like, oh crap, okay, I got some work to do. Yeah. So Izzy, what does creativity mean to you then? What do you find that
this is such a big question.
You could unpack it. Like it could be as simple as creativity means a walk through a forest, or just like, what does it mean to be creative? Like in your life, how do you kind of express it?
I mean, there's a lot of different layers to creativity for me. I think the biggest one would be that you're solving a problem. There's a problem in front of you, and creativity happens when it's not necessarily A and B together to solve the problem. Creativity happens when you can come up with a new solution that surprises you. Creativity is something you have never heard of before. I'm really big on differentiation. I love when things are different. I love when I don't know how things were made, why they were made. To me, that's creativity. Yeah. Everything has been done. But if you can't find a new way to reinvent something that you thought was already, all done, that's creativity to me.
I like that.
Yeah.
And there's that is that kind of an unsettling thought of nothing you've ever done or thought of is original. And like, while that may be true in the macro world, I feel like you haven't done it. So that's why it's good to, like, if it's completely foreign to you and like you've never tried it, I think that's reason to. Maybe there's 4 million people that have done it, but you don't know those people and they're on the other side of the world. I think you should still engage in that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think now the way that people are differentiating a lot is by bringing two concepts together and then reinventing a new experience. Like we see a lot of fusion food now. It's like Mexican with like an Asian fusion thing. So it's like two things but that creates a new experience. Yeah. That's the world that we live in right now. If you can do that with something that are two opposites in your business, and then sell that, I think you have a winning opportunity. You're
gold. That's awesome. So, so I understand you have a company called IP Design. IP is your initials.
Yes, it's not the best name.
No, it's cool. I mean, IP, like you think of like a computer. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but I don't want that.
the brand specialist questioning
it's
the brand.
Actually, so I got my name like I think 10 years ago, and somebody had signed me a check under IP Design because I had this logo, and I'm like, oh, I guess I need to register, and you never changed it. But I'm like, I have brand recognition underneath under that name now. So what's like, I don't want to create confusion. So I just kept it. But I mean, the IP Yeah, it means a lot of stuff. So
That's okay. As long as you're getting to the people that want to use your service, then I mean, I'm talking to a brand specialist, so I might say like the brand doesn't even matter if it's
don't say that.
Not that it doesn't matter, but like I feel like it's what initially gets people through the door, and once you start building a relationship with a client, is the brand maybe fades away. Not fades away, but like yes, they're proud to work with that company, assuming you don't have horrible morals. They're not really focused on like your logo and stuff, are they? Or they just kind of focus on the service that they're getting?
I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Sure.
Okay. Everything matters.
Okay.
Everything matters.
Yeah.
Because a brand is not what you put out.
Okay. Like it's not the product or the service.
It's not. It's part of it. A brand is someone's gut feeling.
Interesting.
So I've been doing a lot of classes under Level C with Marty Neumeyer. Look him up. He's like really good. Has a lot of books. He like worked alongside like Steve Jobs and a lot of
that's cool.
like high like people in the like industry. And he says that a brand is a gut feeling, and he is right. Because when you think about it, your definition of Nike is probably a different definition than what I have.
Right.
It's still the same product, right? Won't do the same results for me than it will for you, because we have different needs.
Right.
How do you create a brand though? With the branding. The branding is what you put out. The branding is what you as a business owner control. So it's about like creating again like that foundation, like that strategy where you have your core purpose, your mission statement, your vision statement. They're not the same. A lot of people think they're the same. They're not.
Your vision and your mission are different.
Very different. The vision supports the mission. They work alongside together. It's kind of like the vision is the dreaming part, and then the mission is how you will achieve that dream.
Interesting.
Under your core purpose. The core purpose never changed. The core purpose is the reason you exist beyond making money. If you don't have that, you're in trouble, because it's the core of everything.
Yeah.
Everything relates to your core purpose. If you get a job you're not sure about, okay, is it aligned with the core purpose? No, not good for you. Out. Simple as that. It can just bring so much clarity.
Yeah.
But that's it. The visuals you put out, like after you have that foundation, the logo, stuff like that, that's all part of the branding. But the brand lives from people who receive it. So yes, your personality, your personal brand, because personal brand and business branding are different, but they work together.
Okay.
Every little touch point matters. Okay. Let's do an exercise.
Okay.
Are you into this? Because I'm loving so into this.
No, I'm like thinking about. I'm seeing my logo on the case over there on the tripod, and I'm like, oh god, I got work to do.
It's okay. Like,
no, Carol,
one
like
thing
it.
at a time.
No, for sure, I like it.
Okay, so my fiance is gonna hate me for this because he works for Bell. But so have you ever had Bell products in your home?
Yeah, like internet, television.
Perfect. Have you ever had an issue?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever there's no issues with like internet, everything's. How do you feel about Bell?
You don't think about them.
Okay, I mean, that's a good answer.
Like when there's no problems with the internet, you're just like you're carrying on and using it to accomplish a multitude of other things, or just be entertained, or whatever it is.
It's efficient. That's it. Like, and I know Bell put a lot of efforts to have it very seamless and it's easy. When everything is working, you don't think about them, but that's like, you still have trust because everything is working, right? When you do have an issue, then you have to call. What happens?
You're mad at the hold music, and you don't want to spend it. You dread that 1 hour phone call of talking to someone who's probably in another country, and you're going to go through many different departments just to solve your problem.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if that was looked at, because technically when you have an issue, that's a touch point. We talked about touch point. That's a human interacting with the brand.
But a touch point doesn't have to be a human necessarily.
You are the touch point doesn't have to be a human, no, but it's you, the human interacting with something. Technically, a touch point could be a logo. This is a touch point for the Ottawa Design Club. Instagram is a touch point. Your podcast is a touch point. Everything is a touch point.
Cool. Okay.
Right. But even for Bell, talking to like people on the phone is a touch point. Most of the time, those interactions go south.
Yeah.
Which leaves you with a bad taste about the Bell brand.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of them having the best service, the best product, regardless of them having like a really slick looking brand, right? So that's what I mean by everything matters.
Yeah. Like everything.
Everything.
Every single touch point
Yeah.
that is associated to your brand matters. So in my situation, so Pano Media is my video production company where we sell services to businesses. We sell commercial video services, drone services. We work with contractors and people and teams, and we create videos. And then TheCreatives was kind of like this branch off where I wanted it to be separate because I wanted it to be like for people. I wanted this TheCreatives podcast to be like a community type of thing. So in this example so TheCreatives is a touch point to
your personal brand,
to my personal brand,
which relates to then your business.
Okay.
Right? Because if your company values is to create community and create community for the businesses that you help, right, through video, then it, as a consumer of your services,
right,
when we look at you, right, we're like, oh yeah, he truly means it because he's doing this on the side too, as like a personal project.
Cool.
So he's truly living his values.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm just like thinking about like, I know like the core purpose, like what you said. If people really tapped into their core purpose, they might quit their job today if they were honest about it.
Probably, yes.
But I mean, it seems like you're living your core purpose, and I like to believe that I am, because I like community, I like building, and I like exploration, and just enabling experiences that were once not there. And through video production, it has allowed me to do that. And that may not necessarily be like amplified through the brand explicitly, but
so now you need to fix it.
Yes, I think we're gonna have to have a conversation after this podcast.
We'll have another conversation after this.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for episode 2.
Yeah. We're actually gonna need to hire IP design to help me with some branding. That's really cool. You really, I mean, it seems like this comes from like truly like within your soul, where like you're doing this because you're passionate about development of people, like individually, and the brands that they create. I was going to ask you, like, how do you know what questions to ask people?
Oh, that comes with experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So last year I actually did another level C certification.
What do you mean by level C?
So it's just how it's called. Level C, I think it's for the C-suite.
For branding?
For branding,
okay.
Yeah. So it's Marty Neumeyer, the author that I told you about, and then there's also Andy Starr. They teach branding, and they do it in a way that is very. It's not necessarily a school. It's like a workshop, I guess, because it's all online.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have to go to Philly for the second half last year.
That's fun.
That was super cool. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, so I'm at the 3rd level now, which is brand architecture, which people actually don't even know what that is.
So really cool. When you mix the word architecture with something that's not like a physical building or something, it sounds cool.
Because of that, I did get some like people on LinkedIn being like, we're looking for an architect for this is this. And I'm like, I do branding. I can help for this, but like I won't be able to like have a full plan for you.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, sorry, misread that. I'm like, yeah, I thought so.
That's funny.
I like to be sassy on LinkedIn with like the recruiters because they like half-ass most of the time. But
LinkedIn's it's a turbulent place.
It's booming though.
Yeah.
If you're not on LinkedIn, hop on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so many freaking platforms to like keep track of.
I know.
Like as an individual, it's hard to manage it all.
Yes.
Yeah, speaking from experience, when you just there's so much
ditto.
going on. Yeah, you got like 2 companies that are active both digitally and physically, and so that's crazy.
One, I have a team though. The Ottawa Design Club, I have a team. I mean, it's a nonprofit, so it's all volunteer.
Yeah.
But like IP design, I hire some people here and there.
Yeah.
Whenever I need like help. But yeah.
This is cool. So on the topic of Ottawa Design Club, I like it.
Thank you.
I like Ottawa. Ottawa's a cool city, and it's a very like I feel like it's just always the underdog city.
Yes.
Every time I've traveled overseas to the other side of the world, I tell people I'm from Canada. Oh, Montreal, Toronto. I'm like, no, Ottawa, like the capital of the country. They're like, oh, nice. They're like, they have no clue. Most people don't know what Ottawa is.
Yep.
And that is another motivation of this spot. I want to like just really
Love it.
amplify like Ottawa because there's cool people and it is a cool city geographically. Like I fly drones a lot. I do over like almost 1,000 hours of drone flights a year.
Wow.
Just I film a lot of real estate. We do like apartment buildings, houses, and then also for film production, flying drones. So I have a good mental image of the entire city from the sky. But Ottawa's a really cool kind of geographically where the rivers and then the Gatineau Hills, and then you got just flat land all on this side, and then the Quebec side is just hills. And it's cool geographically, and then there's cool people, and I feel like it, although some people may think it's boring, I would argue that you're boring.
Yes.
Because what are you going to do? In any other city, you're going to do the same things. So if you can't find something to do here, you know, find something to do in like...
People are bored in New York, so hey.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like the most shiny city you can have. And they're bored over there. So hey, this is a you problem. This is not a us problem.
Not an us. Enough of that though. Yeah. But Ottawa Design Club, Izzy, what is it? How did it start and why does it exist?
Oh my gosh. We're going deep here.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like I really want to have a look at this after. I feel like did Jen
This is Jen.
Oh, this is Jen's photo.
Yeah. Hey, Jen.
I was like, I recognize this because she had some tabletop books in the studio here that I'm like, I've seen these pictures somewhere. That's really cool. I'll have a flip through this. If you want to people can buy this, right? Yes. Or is this one out?
No. This is our latest one. So we printed more for this one too. So we have a few left.
We'll have links to that down in the description below if you would like to check out this lovely zine, not a magazine. We killed the MAGA. It's a zine. Okay, sorry, Karen. Ottawa Design Club.
Yeah, so the Ottawa. So technically, before I quit the government, I was working part time. I was able to manage that with my supervisors, and I happened to go to Montreal just for fun. Yeah. And one of my followers saw that I was in Montreal, and they're like, "Hey, we have this event. It's the Montreal Design Club. Cool. You should check it out. It's about the print edition. I'm sure you would love it." And I'm like, "Oh." His name is Sergio, and I'm like, oh sure, like shoot me the link for the ticket. I'll check it out. So I went, fell in love with the model. It was just so good. I had a lot of people asking for my number. Had some work opportunities after that one night, and I'm like, wow, we don't have this here. Because cool. There was a big focus on networking. Yes, there was 2 speaker presentation. But there was activities for people to engage, and there was food, and the ambiance was just so good. I felt like I mattered.
Yeah. That's cool.
That is super cool. And I'm like, wow, and this is not dismissing any initiative in Ottawa, but I was like, I haven't felt like this in a long time. So being the gutsy person that I am, 2 weeks after I sent a IG message to the founders in Montreal, I'm like, hey, you want a franchise? I'd love to bring this to Ottawa.
No way.
And I really like your model and everything. And I'm going on my own endeavor really soon. I'm going to freelance, because everything was planned. I had my exit plan for the government. But yeah, they said yes, and then we worked together. And in March 2020, we all had our event plan, almost sold out. And then 5 days before we were supposed to have the event. Yep. Yeah, we all know what happened. COVID happened. If you don't remember.
One of the best and worst things.
So true.
It bred a lot of opportunity, but...
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So actually the day of the event, the day we were supposed to have the event, the full team didn't talk to each other. We were all mourning.
So it was supposed to happen really close to when the world
5 days before that we went into lockdown. Wow. So we were all geared up, and everything was ready to go. So we had to pivot. So we had like a few workshops online. This was good because we were able to grow the community, not just in Ottawa, but also outside. Like people from Toronto, Montreal, like would participate to our work. We even had people from Vancouver. Hey, Sean, if you're watching, Sean will be watching.
That's cool. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
You should come on the podcast.
Yeah. He's in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Well,
I love Vancouver.
He does fly to Ottawa some time to time. So that's also why we decided to have the zines, because we couldn't gather everyone in one place. We kept the workshops really small for a reason, because we still wanted to have like that vibe of networking. And when there's too many people, how do you do that on video? Right. But we knew that after a full day of being on camera, some people were just like, we weren't reaching to the full like community. And that's why we decided to have the zines. Something physical, right? Something physical, because in here, we have like everyone's like handles. It's hard to see, but like, it's not this page. We changed the layout of this one a little bit. But on each, is it here? So people's like contact. We have some social people like contact socials, their websites. So that was a way for us to create something tangible that people could still like connect with and engage. Maybe carry out the here they are here, like all of here. Oh, I like that. Yeah. So we wanted this object to be a connector, and then we also wanted to elevate the experience. So the first one that we put out was about quarantine creativity, and we were a little quirky with our name. It was Quarantine, like how we called it. The word zine just cracks me up. Right? I don't know why. It's just it seems so silly, but it like it's like you may read it as Zine if you don't understand. Yes, a lot of people say Zine. It clicks that it's like, oh, it's like magazine. Yes. That's why it's pronounced zine. Yes. It's cool. Yeah. So yeah, that one sold out in 3 days. And then after that, we're like, okay, we always like to keep people on their toes. So we added a multisensorial experience to the zines. Interesting. And we can dive into that if you want. Multisensorial, in, like through a book? Yeah. How do you do that? I don't know. My guess is like a link to a audio thing. And more. And then you QR code it, and then... But then that's just hearing. Someone's hanging outside your window, like spraying water at you, holding a fan. That would the next one. The next one, you working full-time, overtime, like going to people's houses. No, that's not happening. No, but so the second one, and for the themes too, right? We were very observant on what the community needed. So for the second one, which was at the beginning of 2021, we did pop culture, all pink, bubblegum. We wanted something flashy, just that would like bring some happiness in like those really dark times. But then Ariane, which is the co-founder of the club, I had the brilliant idea to ask for people to submit a song. So everything is done through call for submission. And yeah, so we asked them to submit a song, so you could build a playlist to listen to as you like flip through the zine. With that, because it was about bubble gum, we decided to give gum for you to chew on so there was like taste, scent, hearing, eyesight, and then touch. So you received gum while you were, like when you were to get this book, you would get not this one specifically, but the second one. But it would come wrapped with like a pack of gum? Yes. That's cool. Yeah. So all the senses were triggered. And it's funny because when we did get the submissions for the second zine, for us, pop culture was all fun and, bubble gum. But the submissions that we got, there was like some negative side to pop culture, which we were really intrigued about, and it changed the narrative of the zine. And that's something that we really loved working with is when we put a theme out, we never know what we will get. So we can't get married to specific ideas when we put something out. Like we have to work with what we get. But then everything worked because we're like, pop culture, yes, has a negative side. So does bubblegum. So it worked like really well. And yeah, if you want to know like all about it, I was going to say you have to buy it, but we have like one copy left. One copy. It's going on eBay. Yeah. Yes. Bidder. That's really cool. And if I understand correctly, your first in-person event was on-set mindset, right? No, first in-person was last May, so a year ago, and it was Origins. It was also our 4th zine launch at the same time. Onset Mindset came after.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your first physical workshop?
I think second one, actually. We had one here, actually, in this
nice.
like
in the studio.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
awesome.
a pizza night. Yeah.
Nice. So when you said call to submission, how does it work? How can people contribute to this zine?
So we need to put out a call for submission first.
Right.
But there's like some like guidelines that you need to follow. Like send this many images and this size and like submit a text and it has to go with like the
theme.
The theme.
What's the theme of this one?
This one is collaboration.
Oh, okay, it's right here.
This one was like we. How can I say this? I think we surprised a lot of people with this theme because the guidelines were you have to work with someone else. You can't submit something that you have done on your own.
Interesting. So
yeah, because we wanted to force networking.
That's cool. I like that. It's cool. And I really like what it says here. If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, which is talking to new people most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast scares the crap out of me sometimes.
That's good.
Because it's like, obviously, it's taking time.
Yes.
And it's taking money and it's taking effort and it's extracurricular to like all the other things. And it's sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I sit down and we have a conversation and then I'm like, I don't even think about any of that. But it's that initial, like, just get past the ledge.
I would say I feel the exact same way about the Ottawa Design Club. Every time there's like a friction or something is not happening or, we reach out to it. Yeah, definitely a dip. Sponsor says no and then we don't have money to it's like, then.
Because this is your passion project, right? This is
self-funded,
all on the side.
Yes, yes. I actually owe myself a lot of money from
using resources from other places to then create this.
Correct.
That's cool though. What do you imagine for the Ottawa Design Club? What do you hope for the future of this initiative?
So there's already a lot that's been happening.
Cool.
So we will have our 8th event in 2 weeks at Saw Gallery again with 2 speakers. We took a little break from the zines for now just because we were all exhausted. We used to produce 2 a year and this takes a lot of effort to make.
It's a very nice book.
Thank you.
It's a very, very nice piece. Like I'm going to keep this for a long time.
I mean, in here, there's 66 creatives that are featured because again, like it's people collaborating together.
Yeah.
People from all over the world. That's another thing, right? When you said you talked about Ottawa wanting to create that new narrative that we are like creative and we are doing stuff this zine attracted people from all over the world. The call for submission, which we didn't necessarily
so this isn't just Ottawa people, right?
No. This is people from all over the world.
Wow. But there is a lot of Ottawa people.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
There's people from Ottawa working with people like so Ariane and I have a submission in here. We created a font, which is like crazy and wacky.
How's it type?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And we worked with, we were 5. So there's Chelsea, who is in Ottawa, but then there's Todd, who is in New Zealand, and Adam, who is in the UK.
Is it this font here?
So that one is part of the Huza, but this was just like an add-on, like a bookmark that we gave as swag with the
bunch of
zine.
ampersands. Bunch of ends.
Because it's 5 and there's 5 zines and it's like coming together. So 8%, right? And.
And.
Yeah.
That's cool. This is just like a bookmark, right?
Yes.
I wasn't sure. Collaboration is a superpower. It really is a superpower.
It is.
It's energizing. And like, speaking of energizing things, is there something in your life, in your realm that is you have like infinite energy for that you could just work tirelessly at, or not necessarily, it doesn't have to be work, but is there anything you have infinite energy for?
I mean, creating. Yeah. Even if it's for myself or a client, I like eat that for breakfast.
Nice. You eat creative breakfast.
Creativity, like I should, oh my gosh, that would be such a cool shoot.
Eating creativity?
Yeah. Like you have like this like cereal box that's called like Creativity-O or something. And then, you eat that.
Eating creativity. That'd be a really cool concept. Cause like, how do you, like, I guess turn creativity, like what would you be eating? Like not memory cards, like camera.
Sparkles.
color. So when you think creativity, I take you as like you think vibrantly, like based on the way this book changes color. You like vibrant colors and
yes. We can ask AI like how like it sees creativity.
How do you see creativity? Yeah. That's scary. I mean, I definitely use AI.
Same.
Tools, the chat tools, taking over the world. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, everything that exists can be done to do good or can be used to do bad. We look at Instagram, right? There's like sexual predators on there.
Right.
But there's also some people who are spreading good messages.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to how will you use it?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about the whole AI thing is like typically like platforms and like social media, like they're just vessels without people there. They're nothing. They're empty.
Yes.
If the people aren't there, they're empty. What's weird about AI is like,
it
is an entity in a way where it doesn't necessarily require humans to be there. I mean, humans have to trigger the inputs, but they're not necessarily filling the contents of the vessel. It's just this like vast space. I don't know. It's I feel like if enough people start using it, we might all really start thinking the same, because now we're using this to come up with ideas and write stuff. And I mean, I'll shamelessly say I use it to help develop text stuff like titles and honestly sometimes questions for this podcast.
Nice.
But I don't take them exactly as they are. I use them as like kind of talking points
and inspiration,
yeah. Just leveraging the tools available to then stay at an advantage over the competition, even though I'm not doing this competitively. I'm not like trying to like beef other podcasts, but it could be cool. Battle of the podcast
could be cool.
That'd be a fun like photo shoot, battle of the podcast,
photo shoot, or even like game show.
Yeah. 2 podcasts.
Yeah, like podcasters go and then you have an interview and it's like the most fun interview. That could be cool.
That could be.
I would watch that.
There's a lot of.
That's like a Netflix thing.
Yeah. We're coming for Netflix one day.
Yes.
Izzy, back to branding. How do you see the future of branding, and like where do you see yourself in that?
So it's funny because the zines have helped me to niche myself down as like a business, right? When we talked about multisensorial and giving an experience, I'm like, I want to be a multisensorial brand designer or an immersive brand designer.
Cool.
So that's what I'm niching down. So, and we've already seen, and it's funny, I should have just like hopped on that wagon. I was a little scared like last year to do it, but now we're seeing it everywhere and I'm like,
what is it?
Well, we see a lot of like brands actually using the immersive momentum to do big things and then connect with the audience. And I should have,
Can you give me an example of one that's doing it?
Yes. It's a big one. But I was in LA last October and again, my fiance is like crazy about the new Cadillac, like electric car.
Yeah.
I don't know all the specifics. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But like whenever he starts about all of this and all the gadgets and stuff.
I can relate. I love cars. So I can definitely relate to nerding out over stuff like that.
Well, maybe you guys should meet. But we went to a store where they were showcasing the new Cadillac and they were using a multisensorial experience for the people there to understand like the impact and like everything that's gonna happen like with this new car. So you go in a room. Yeah. There's mirrors, like it's a 360 mirror. There's a 360 projector, and there's this full animation where you see yourself like driving that car. That's and then cool. It's just like a lot of stuff, and then like metrics of like what is gonna happen with the car, and it was just like, wow, okay, like it made you want to buy the car even though it's like a $75,000 car, right? Then you come out of that room, there's someone waiting for you to give you swag. So they give you a touch point. Well, I mean, the room was a touch point, but they give you, sorry about that.
Take it home with you and
that's
remember it.
Just the fact that you have a gift. And anything you could give for free, that goes for all businesses. Like people love that. It's like a mini incentive, but they're like, wow, if they're giving this for me, like to me for free, imagine if I would pay for the services. Like that's like automatic.
You're not explicitly having those thoughts, but that's what it's going through your head, right? Okay.
That's it. And then the room that you're in has projectors, and then the information changes. There's like the charging station. There's like a video of, again, okay. I'm very French, eh? Like I talk like a lot with my hands. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can use the hands.
But this was an example of the use of immersive experience and being in the space where you lived the life of owning that car.
That's really cool. How do you then in my head, I'm just like funny thought, multi-sensorial. I'm going to have a video shoot with a client and I hand them a gum and I'm like, chew this. Okay, now we're going to shoot a video. But obviously not.
Yes.
But how do you bring a multi-sensorial experience like practically into day-to-day operations?
So I think multi-sensorial, you have to be in the space. So like in an event space, like that's very important. I would say immersive, right? Immersive is when you kind of feel like the brand is like consuming you. It's like the opposite. For you, for instance, you said you work with a lot of real estate agents and stuff like that. And you do videos and drones. Real estate agents give a lot of print to people. So maybe it's about having a QR code where people can watch that video, and then it's the real estate talking directly to the people who are scanning that code.
Interesting.
The problem right now, and please don't hate me for this, real estate agents aren't utilizing print in a creative way. They're all copying one another. So that's why it's not they're not differentiating themselves. If it was just like scan me with the logo, people would do it. And
it would take it to like a specific video or like a library.
Yes. I would do a specific video.
Yes. But then there's the whole like, okay, how are we going to turn around? We're going to print that in time, because usually time is a constraint.
You do the video first.
Yeah.
Then you print it. And also now I think there's QR codes that you can change the link. So you can just get that QR code and change the link. And that's also another thing, right? You could change that video and then scan me every month. So then, you keep that postcard on the fridge, and then even maybe it's something for kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it's like, hey, welcome to May.
Yes.
And this is so-and-so. And
absolutely. And I think that the content too should be differentiated. Like real estate will be, it's time to do this. It's time to think of, it's spring. Maybe you want to sell. How about it's like talking about what Ottawa has to offer?
I'm writing this down. This is an excellent idea. QR code. I like that because because then you don't have to, that solves the problem of having to print a new code.
Exactly.
With a time constraint.
Exactly.
That's really cool. I feel like, so the same way when I watch television, movies, anything, I'm like seeing it not the way normal people see it. When you are just going about your life and you see brands, are you like picking them apart?
Yeah.
And you're like, you're either criticizing or like celebrating, like, whoa, they did that really well. Is that how you spend most of your days?
Yeah.
Like, you could just be driving away from here and see a billboard and be like,
I am so tired at night because my brain never shuts down. I just hit like my pillow and I'm like,
time for sleep.
Exactly.
No more brands.
No more brain power.
You have dreams about brands battling each other.
Actually, yes, that does happen. When I used to do a lot of websites, I would dream about code. Wow. And sometimes I would like go and try it the next morning and I'm like, well, that actually worked. Like I dreamt about the solution.
Yeah.
Like,
I've definitely had that before, dreaming about a solution. It's cool because then you wake up and you're like, oh crap.
Wow,
like,
shit.
Thanks, subconscious me. But
yes.
I mean, who's to say that the dream world isn't as real as this world? No.
Well, I mean, do you believe we live in a matrix? I don't want to believe it, but sometimes I'm like,
I don't believe that our existence is to feed a matrix, but I believe there is a matrix, a machine that exists that we are all a part of. Unless you live in a bush.
Well, society is a machine, technically, right?
It is a machine. It's a complex one too. I mean, unless you live in a bush and hunt for your own food and grow your own berries and stuff, like you are part of so-called matrix. I don't like to be very like, what's the word? utopian, dystopian
Oh,
society.
Yes.
The world is, computers are taking over and everything sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's just it's your choice to perceive things like that. But you can be involved with this matrix, but also still not be consumed by it.
Yes.
And that's what when I find through this podcast, I keep finding people who have made it like their reality to make their core purpose like what they do every day.
Yes.
And I hope it inspires people watching, people listening. It inspires me like greatly, like even chatting with you, the first like brand creator we've had on the show, and
Yay.
It's awesome. It's cool. I've learned so much from this episode.
Great.
I may need to watch it back. I actually haven't watched back a single full episode, believe it or not.
It's hard to watch yourself back.
I don't want to overthink what I may have messed up, because
yeah.
I feel like that'd be the detriment to the next episode. I want to just kind of keep going forward, and it's thanks to Ryan, our editor, who's been editing these. Like, I'll just tweak the audio and give him the files, and then he'll create these lovely videos that we see on the internet.
But technically, like footballers, after their game, like right after their game, they watch the video and to correct themselves.
You're right.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's more so a laziness thing. I'm not opposed to seeing myself speak or hear my voice on camera. I know there's some science going on with why you may think you sound weird on camera, but that's actually just how you sound all the time.
Yeah, we hear ourselves differently, apparently, I think.
Yeah. Well, when you speak out loud, your voice vibrates through your head. So you're hearing it into your ears and then vibrating through your head. And then when you hear yourself, there's no vibration. It's just coming into the ears.
That makes sense.
But I like the microphone headset because it's all of it. And it's like your voice vibrates through your head. You're hearing your voice through your ears. And it's like a weird rhythmic kind of...
I should know this better, specifically if I want to do more immersive stuff.
That's okay. We're all here to learn.
Again,
it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. They get bumped all the time. They're just...
Again, I'm very French. I talk with my hands.
It's okay. How do you feel about this set?
I really like this. I really like this. Yeah.
It's cool. It's in the Midnight Hour Studios. It's the kitchen counter that I dragged from over there.
I feel like I'm like on a radio show or something.
Yeah, I like
it's
it.
really
I guess,
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I don't like... We got a couple lights going, and it just kind of feels like we're just hanging out having a conversation.
Exactly.
I do like the couch too, but we're 16 episodes later, and it's cool to experiment.
Yeah, change it up sometimes.
Yeah, Differentiate the touch points and the dips, and there are all these words in my head now. All that stuff. Izzy, do you have any advice for aspiring brand creators, and also we'll start with, do you have advice for aspiring brand creators, people who want to do the similar work to what you're doing?
Find your secret sauce. Never stop learning. And I'm like thinking about Remy. It's just like don't be a jerk. Don't suck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. I think I would say hone in into who you are and bring that personality back into your business, because that's gonna, at first specifically, it's gonna be your biggest differentiator. Bring your hobbies too. Your hobbies can help you niche down. The biggest one, and I think that goes for not just creatives but all businesses, is only put out the work you want to attract.
Interesting.
A lot of people will put everything just to show that they have like diversity and they can do a lot. But if you don't want to work with specific businesses, don't put it up. Only put the work you want to attract.
So early on, I used to think like put everything, and then I started narrowing down like, this is actually what I want to do.
Yes.
Which is, the 3 pillars, like real estate, drone, and automotive. Or no, what is it? No, it's like, I can't remember my own pillars. It's video production, commercial video production, real estate, and drone stuff. But yeah, it was actually Nick, Nick?
Yes.
Nick Gattis. Nick was on an episode with us. Nick, this is also his studio. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
If you're listening to this while driving to a really cool food shoot, hi. He was actually here earlier. He just left to Toronto.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's going to shoot some cool stuff. I don't know if it's a secret. I'm not going to spoil it. But he said you do like creative projects that attract what you want to do.
Yes.
So his example was he did an exploding burger shot, which looked really cool, and it was a completely self-directed, self-funded project. And he said that brought him work for years to come.
Yes.
So in the branding space, can you simulate that where you create like brands for without them being real?
Yeah, we call that a faux folio. So it's like a
cool.
like fake portfolio.
Yeah.
So you can create like a full brand strategy, like a full like visual identity and stuff like that, and you put that, and then you say in your like website that this you made for fun, but you're looking to work with like-minded individuals and stuff like that. There's always a way to position like your portfolio stuff.
That's cool. And then what advice would you have for businesses or individuals looking to establish, a good, strong brand?
Differentiate. Never copy. Always do the 180 solution and the reverse assumption of what people think you will do.
That's a very dense statement.
It is.
It's like, how do you do that?
So,
Like,
for instance,
could it be simple? Does it have to be complicated? Like it could be a
it can
simple
be super
differentiation.
simple. Actually, I'm gonna like say an example with a brand that I'm working on right now. I'll let you know if we need to cut that in post after.
Sounds good.
Maybe I should ask
If it's
them.
a secret.
I don't think it is. But they are called Sweet Cheeks. They are like just phenomenal clients. They do gluten-free and vegan goodies.
Cool.
What's the first thing that comes to mind? What vegan and gluten-free for you?
Doesn't necessarily taste the same as the actual gluten full and
Yes. What else?
non-vegan counterparts. What comes to mind? I just think of like those like protein bars that just suck.
A healthy product.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
They just don't taste good. I don't know.
Yes, don't taste good. That's a big one. So their products actually taste phenomenal. Actually, they're a sponsor for the Ottawa Design Club. So
Sweet.
when you're at our next event, you'll get to taste the magic that they create.
Can't wait.
But that's it. The reverse assumption is to make a product that doesn't look like it's lacking butter or flour or all of that. On top of that, it's a treat. It's not healthy. A lot of people think that vegan and gluten-free means healthy. And that the branding visual identity will be brown or green or with like a little mini leaf on top. We are taking the brand in the experience of it. So full out colors, full out like confetti and like that big like party that's happening in your mouth. We're bringing that like at the top.
That's cool.
This is a reverse assumption because you think about vegan gluten-free, it's like, it's not going to taste good.
Yeah.
But no, surprise them with what
tastes great.
The reverse.
And it's not necessarily a health product.
That's it.
It's a treat. It's a
treat.
dessert. If you eat too much of it, you probably shouldn't. Like it's one of.
That's it.
Okay.
I even pitched to them, and I don't know if it's gonna stick
cool.
or not. But I pitched like maybe as a slogan, it should be like, "There's no butter in this."
It's so straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's a cool play,
As
right?
a question,
as a question, like,
this?
"There's no butter in this."
Yeah.
Because like that's what like the experience they've done a lot of market research. They've been to a lot of markets. And they see like the people's reaction. They actually don't even say that it's vegan and gluten-free until people had their first bite.
Wow.
To make sure
when they do like focus groups or something, or do they?
No, it's just at markets. Like they are observing, and that's the best way to do it because focus group, again, I'll be like controversial here, but they don't work. Don't do it. Don't invest in them.
I think I've participated in a focus group when I was younger because I was getting paid to do it.
Okay. But that's it. You probably said what the other one wanted to hear.
I don't even remember. Yeah, I think it was for, I don't even remember. Anyway, irrelevant.
They don't work. It's better if you observe people in their actual environment because then you'll get the truth about like their reactions and stuff like that.
And that comes through experimentation, right? You got to
exactly
try things before you can kind of narrow in to what you want.
Unfortunately, you probably won't have it the first time. That's normal.
Yeah. I mean, it's unrealistic to think that something you do completely new is going to work the first time. This is my third podcast.
Oh yeah, okay.
Third actual podcast that's been like published and out. The other ones, not that they didn't work, they weren't designed in a way that was sustainable for me to keep going.
Right. Okay.
And now on the third one, I feel like we've finally figured it out. And the key is working with an editor, I found, and not having to relive the conversation again, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's, as I got busier,
it's time consuming.
It is time consuming, especially when it's a side project. Like, it's probably the same reason you have people work with you on this.
Yes.
Because it's hard to give it everything.
Oh, yes.
Izzy, this has been a really cool conversation. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, great.
I've learned a lot, and I hope people listening have learned a lot. I hope you've enjoyed this. So people can, if someone calls, hey, Izzy, I'm lost. I have a brand. I have a logo. Help.
Yes. I mean, I'll be like, let's hop on a call.
Do people ever leave your conversations like in tears? Like, what?
No, they feel inspired.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
not in tears in a bad way that you made them upset, but they're just like rethinking their entire.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
But that's
right?
okay, because I'm there to hold their hands.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of walk people through the process.
Yes.
If I say, hey, Izzy, this is my company. This is kind of what's been built.
Usually
what do we do?
Usually if there's a problem, right? Like they can't retain their people, or it's they hit a wall, or they want to rebrand, like their audience has changed, their focus has changed. So it's like, okay, if you the thing is, it's stupid to think that by continuing to do the same thing that you'll get change. So regardless, when you're about to go on a new like brand strategy journey or rebrand, like some change are going to happen. But that's okay, because you probably all have the answers. I'm here to push them, like get you out of your comfort zone and just reorganize stuff for you, so then it's super clear.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, we may have to have a conversation separate from this. It's really cool. And it's a space that's completely new to me, and it's like
new in general.
It's emerging, right?
Yes.
It's the whole idea of branding, and
yes,
most people take that, like everyone's the one man band, one person band. They're just like doing everything.
Yes.
They're selling the product, the service.
And if going back to the conversation we had earlier about what is a brand, what is branding, right?
Yeah.
People are using the word brand very loosely and not like in the best use. There's a lot of, again, I'm being controversial here.
It's okay.
But there's a lot of coaches that will say, I'm going to help you build your brand. They don't have like the background, like most of them. Some of them do. Some of them like are really, really good, and they can probably help you in your business and figure out like how to like get to a specific point. But at some point, having a brand strategist or architect will help you to look at the market, make sure that you're look at your competitors and have the bigger picture, not just from your own like experience, if that makes sense.
That's cool. It seems like it must be a satisfying process for you and your clients. And I will be putting all of Izzy's information down in the description. So if you have questions, or if you want to reach out, give her a shout. You can check out her website, and I'm sure you'd be happy to just start a conversation and see what you can do.
Holla
at Izzy. Before we wrap up, I have a couple fun rapid fire questions I want to ask you. Yes. This is one I like to ask everyone. I'm just curious. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Nice. Just, if you could work with any brand right now, who would it be?
Oh man, one that doesn't exist.
I like that answer a lot. Sweet or salty?
Both at the same time.
Good answer. If you had to represent like if you had to wear like one brand for the next 5 years, what is it?
The Izzy brand. I'll wear my own thing.
These are great answers.
Because I want to differentiate.
I love these answers. And this one, I'm just your answer on this. If you could travel back in time and rebrand any company, which one would you do and why?
Pepsi. They seem to not have it figured out. They do. They keep copying Coca-Cola, and it's not working.
In the shadow of Coca-Cola.
Yeah. I would just like do something entirely different.
You ever see that documentary or whatever, Pepsi Where's My Jet on Netflix?
No, but I should watch that.
It was pretty entertaining. Like they promised a jet if you gathered a certain amount of Pepsi points, and then some guy found a loophole and got the points, and then
Oh,
It
man.
went on for years.
I did see the premise of that.
Yeah.
I should definitely watch that.
But if they had you, maybe things would have been a lot different.
Yeah, don't be like, no empty promises. That's like very important.
Yes. So we got differentiate, no empty promises.
Yes.
Try
I mean, there's like a
things.
whole.
There's so many
There's
things.
so many
I
things.
can't even sum them up here, but
yeah, they're all interconnected. Just call me.
just call Izzy. Exactly. Well, on that note, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, episode 16 with Izzy P, the talented brand creator. I learned a lot from this episode, and I hope you did too. If you want any of the information about Izzy, about the podcast, all of that will be down in the description box below. And if you'd like to reach out, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Discord. We have a Discord community where we just kind of intermingle, and we could it's just an open dialogue chat. There's different topics and different chat rooms. So check that out, and hope you have a lovely day, whatever you're doing today while listening to this. I hope it goes great, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Izzy.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Bye.